From his first gig as a music director for the Toronto production of Godspell in the early 70s, filled with stars of the future,
You know, maybe this show isn't what I'm used to and everything, but
to the first 5 seasons of Saturday Night Live.
From New York, it's Saturday night.
There's only one guy who could have set this whole benefit up, and I'm looking at him, Don Kirshner, and you know that.
Oh, gimme, Jerry. It was your idea.
Paul Shaffer has forged a long, successful career melding music and comedy.
This is Paul Shaffer over here, ladies and gentlemen.
And, of course, this is what made Shaffer a household name.
As good a friend as you can have on television, as good a friend as you can have in life, Paul Shaffer.
How about that band?
For more than 3 decades, he was known as the man behind the piano for David Letterman. But it's for writing the music to this dance hit of the early 80s, It's Raining Men, that Shaffer will be honored by the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I caught up with Paul Shaffer from his home in Westchester County, New York. Paul Shaffer, it's a real thrill to speak with you.
Talk about a thrill. This is not only a thrill, but an honor. But I'm really serious. It's a pleasure to be with you, Ian.
Well, and speaking of honors and induction into the Canadian Songwriting Hall of Fame, what was it like getting that call?
It was just a great, I mean, you know, they didn't have to do it, but it's just such a thrill and makes me feel so good, you know, a connection to the motherland. The motherland is watching.
Speaking of the motherland, you're wearing your Thunder Bay shirt, aren't you?
Sure, I'm happy and proud of it. Canada. I'm so thrilled of my Canadian roots. Born in Toronto, by the way, at Mount Sinai Hospital. Raised in Thunder Bay, Ontario.
One of the amazing things about your career, you are a musician first and foremost, but it's how you have managed to have connections to a Hall of Fame of comedians. And that started in Toronto with the stage musical Godspell. And you look at the list of people in the 1970s who were part of that: Martin Short, Andrea Martin, Eugene Levy, Gilda Radner. All of you were, I guess, probably in your early 20s. Did you guys have any idea what was to come in your careers at that point?
Well, of course not. You know, some of us had high hopes. But this was our first professional job in many cases. Certainly in my case, I was right out of the University of Toronto, you know, and had just been playing casual engagements around town. When this came out of the blue, I was hanging heavy with this cast, and we did nothing but hang out together because we were like-minded, and we found compatriotism among ourselves.
Well, when you had that level of talent together by coincidence, by luck, by good fortune, you know, look what happens. I got to talk about 1063 Avenue Road, a house that still is standing, where you guys would gather, you'd party, but you'd also create. Take us inside that house in the 1970s.
Such a kick, you know, for you to ask about that house. 1063 Avenue Road was where Eugene Levy and Martin Short lived together. They split the rental on a house while they were performing Godspell together. Anyway, as I said, we hung out incessantly, and we did a lot of it at that house. After the show, especially on Friday nights, where we would gather after the show, and Marty Short deemed it Friday night services because we took it very seriously. And as we always said, our Bible was People magazine, which I think had just come out at that time. We were celebrity obsessed too, and man, we had a lot of laughs.
So you end up in New York, you end up as part of the band at the beginning of Saturday Night Live, you know, the iconic first cast. So behind the scenes with Dan Aykroyd and Gilda Radner and all the people who were part of that, the egos, the pressure, the partying, give us a peek into what that was like.
Well, it certainly was wild. There's no question about it. And the wildness did translate to the screen. The show was such that whatever was happening that week was often written into the show. I couldn't believe it sometimes, but that was the how thin the line was between reality and comedy. You know,
you got to work on your comedy chops as well, in lots of ways. But for example, Bill Murray, playing the lounge singer, and you got to be more than just a guy playing the piano. You got to do a little comedy as well.
Okay, Paulie, you ready to play a little bit of music?
No.
Now, this is the Nick Winters Show, and I do the entertaining. Thank you. Let's go out with something really hot for these folks. A big hit out of '77. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars.
Everything was about Star Wars and that theme, nothing but Star Wars, and it just started to write itself, you know. I tossed in the line at the bridge, and hey, how about that nutty Star Wars bar? Again, everybody was kind of the studio musicians were saying, "That's there, the Star Wars bar." Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Remember that was everyone's favorite scene. So I put that quote in.
Let's jump ahead to David Letterman, because that is an association that not only was magical, but a lot of our viewers probably, that's where they know you best.
Thank you so much, David. You changed our lives.
How did it change your life? Because more so than Saturday Night Live, you were front and center on late night throughout the NBC years and the CBS years. How did it change things for you?
Changed my whole life. I became, just by virtue of the fact that it was every day, but that was a life in itself and a lifestyle in itself. You always had to do the show, you know, no matter what. I was, when my first child was born at 1:45 in the morning, a.m. That next day I was on the show passing out cigars. And, the memories will last forever.
From Godspell to Saturday Night Live to Spinal Tap to David Letterman, I mean, it's been a career like none other. And it's a thrill to talk to you, and great to hear your story.
Ian, thank you for being interested. And hello to everybody, all my relatives and friends up in Canton.